welcome again to the channel. Brian, call sign ZL3XDJ in the shack. I was hoping to get outside today, but unfortunately it's blown a hoolie. It's about 4 degrees, so we'll just do a wee bit here in the shack. Yeah, as the title is a bit dramatic, but it sort of sums up the end, and the end is not as dramatic as maybe some think. The end for me is just I've achieved a big goal of mine regarding antennas, and from years back when I was a UK operator and just starting out, and using bits of antennas here and there, and working originally QRP around Europe and England and that, but I kept hearing and listening and seeing all these other amateur radio operators working far distances around the world, and it grabbed my attention straight away. And an old friend of mine, a Golf Mike 3, said to me that if you want to work more DX, he said, it's concentrate on the aerials, make something fairly simple, and get it set up really well so it works, and do that simple radio. You see behind me, coax antenna. That's it, and stick to resonant antennas. And then that way you'll definitely won't have any have many losses compared to using multiband antennas or balams or coils. So I basically stuck with this over the years, and now I'm in New Zealand. Over the last 10 years, as some of you know, I've tried many antennas. I've now got to the point where I think, and I'm quite happy at this decision, that I'm not going to build any more antennas, because the 3 antennas that I have seem to work better, far better far better than any other antennas I've used in the last 40 years. I've now got to the point where I can work DX, which not necessarily call signs that are very rare, but DX as in the sense I only work stations that are over 10,000 miles away from me, and the 3 antennas that I have now allow me to do that. Every QSO I have on the air each day is over 10,000 miles, and that was my big achievement years ago. Not to work, as I say, special call signs DX stations around the world, but just be able to go on the radio and to work around the world, work long distances, not local, as I used to do in England, working lots of G stations and German stations. And, I wanted to use the license and the hobby and the radio to talk to people all over the world. And I've, at this moment, I think I've achieved that. So what I'm going to just do a little video on some of the antennas I've used in the past, and just give a brief insight to why I used them or why I didn't use them, and let you see what the 3 antennas that I'm using now, and which as I say have completely outdone any other antennas by far that I've ever used in the past. So bits of wire, no towers, no big masts, no balance, no coils, just, as I say, the rig, piece of coax, and a really good antenna on the end. Antennas that suit this location. That was the one thing I was told years ago. Get an antenna that works well in your location, because a lot of antennas work. All the antennas I've used in the past have worked, but not as well in this location as the ones I'm using now. So it's the end of making antennas, but it's the beginning of having 10,000 mile QSOs every evening, and it's still exciting and still really enjoyable. So have a look at these wee excerpts. Not sure if the audio is fantastic, but dear, you know, I'm on the amateur radio station. Enjoy, and hope to catch you on the air again. Cheers for now. Have a look and have a listen. Half 40-meter grounded loop is the first antenna I ever put up, which was quite simple. 7-meter vertical section, and then the rest went down to an earth stake where the coax or the feeder was joined, and then a decent earth cable between the bottom of the sloping point and the bottom of the vertical. A really good antenna, very quiet on receive and quite low angle on transmit. Unfortunately, this QTH I just couldn't get it in the right firing direction, but loops, any loop is quite a good receive antenna. This is the second antenna, which is a simple resonant 40-meter vertical, about 10 meters high. Fortunately, when I came here, all the trees and the shrubs, fences, etc., were not there then, so I was able to put 350 10-meter long radials in a big circle around from the base of the vertical, and it's proved to be 14 years. It's still here and still working very well for me. This is antenna number 3 that I put up here. This is quite simple, multiband verticals, all resonant antennas on 40, 30 and 20 meters, and I had a pole in the center, and then basically a T-bar at the top, and the other verticals hung down to one feeder at the bottom. I suppose early example of a DX Commander. This was 13, 14 years ago, and it worked very well on all of them bands, connected to the same 350 radials that was laid out below. But unfortunately, it succumbed to the weather, having not a very good structure. But again, the verticals on 40, 30, and 20 back in the day worked very well for me. Antenna 4 on my list, which is a 80-meter inverted L, already having the vertical, the 40-meter vertical on the on site. I simply added another extra long length of wire to the top of that, making it resonant on the lower part of 80 meters, and it worked very well actually. I got into on CW, I got into the UK, Europe and Scandinavia quite often. The only problem I had really with it was the band wasn't open very much throughout the year in this location, so we disbanded that to move on to something else and do some more testing with other antennas. But yes, it does work very well indeed. Number 5. This was a time when I was testing dipoles on the bands instead of the verticals, etc. And this is just an example of one 80-meter dipole. I did try dipoles, I think, on all bands from 80 up to about 15, and they did work. I did get contacts with the dipoles. They were a little bit quieter on receive, but compared to the vertical type antennas I'd tried in the past, I didn't get anywhere near the the distance I was getting into sort of Eastern Europe and not into main part Europe or the UK or anything. The dipoles at this location just didn't seem to work at all. But at least we give them a try. This one is the 40 meter 2 element parasitic vertical array, which is basically I started to experiment with reflectors to see if I could get any forward gain long path, mainly working long path. So basically, what we're looking at here is the standard quarter wave 40 meter vertical on the right, and then a distance behind it is a parasitic reflector. So the two are not connected at all. Obviously, the reflector is slightly longer than the driven element, and the space in between is worked out and governed by various methods. But it seemed to work quite well. I got well at least one S point gain towards long path, and the like all reflectors, it drops the noise down on receive as well. So this was quite a good, interesting starting point for antennas, my antennas, to sort of go forward and get better all the time. So this next one is when I from a friend got some information about elevated verticals. It really caught me interest. Obviously, don't need all the radials on the ground, just one or two, and the antennas raised above the ground by about 2 meters. And so I tried first with this 20 meter 2 elevated vertical array, firing long path with just one or two radials on either of them. And initially, results were just brilliant. I couldn't over all the antennas I've used in the past, even verticals on the ground. This elevated system definitely worked far better, and with all the testing I did using the reverse beacon and SDR receivers around the world, I was getting 1 to 2 S points gain long path on 20 meters with this antenna, and also the noise was reduced a lot, which was quite surprising. A very simple antenna, easy to put up. I think it took me about 30 minutes, and it's still up now. The results have been fantastic ever since using this one. So now we're looking at a 30 meter parasitic 2 element vertical. I wanted to get on 30 meters. I wanted basically to sort of have resonant antennas on 40, 30 and 20 meters, my favorite bands. I don't bother so much with the higher bands, but I didn't have the space to actually make these 30 meter parasitic into elevated ones. So these were just 30 meter vertical, which you see on the right, with some radials, and the parasitic on the ground so far behind. And this has actually been quite a surprise, because out of all the verticals I've tried, whether a single vertical on the ground or parasitics 2 elements, the 30 meter one in this location seems to work slightly better than all the other ones, and I get lots of good reports on the 30 meters. I put this picture in. This is just shows you roughly where the house and the garden is, etc. But I also made this one because at this point I was trying some receive antennas. Sometimes on verticals, of course, receive is quite noisy. So just out of experimentation, I tried a beverage on the ground, which wasn't exactly, where I wanted it to go. It was about 40 meters long, but actually it worked. It worked really well. I was quite surprised. The beverage worked really well as a very quiet receive antenna. And just off to the top right, I also tried a loop on the ground, which was about 10 meters square, and that worked. That worked very well indeed as well. Unfortunately, both of them, I just couldn't quite get them orientated to the long path, but they still worked. They still work quite well as receive antennas. So there we go. Quite a few antennas. A lot of other antennas I have tried in the past that were a lot smaller and probably disasters before I even tried them. But now outside, you can see 3 antennas, 40 meter vertical, the 2 element parasitic 30 meter vertical, and a bit further away the 20 meter 2 element elevated array. They're the 3 out of the last 40 years or so. They're the 3 antennas now at this location that work the best, and as I say, far better than any other antennas I've taken, used. And quite often people do tell me that my signals from them little wire antennas are quite compatible with people using Yagis. So it's just a matter of finding the right antenna for your location, getting it set up well, and use the grey line as I do all the time. Hit that sweet spot, and you get DX all the time. There we go. Not an end for ZL3XDJ, but just an end to a 40-year investigation and look at and testing and trying and sometimes nearly crying over what's gone wrong now. But now these 3 antennas are working just the best I can get them. The best I can get them. I think the only step up from here would be to put a mast up and get a Yagi or things like this. But I'm always going to stick to, and I keep saying this, it gets boring, but I'm going to stick to the radio, piece of coax and a piece of wire outside, set up correctly, use at the right time, and it opens up a wonderful world of DX, So there we go. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea now, and then shortly you'll be turning the radio up, and hopefully the bands are not very good condition, but we're still managing to get through to Europe and Scandinavia, so we'll give it a try. Hope to hear you on the bands. Hope you enjoyed that bit of a rant about antennas and now I can sit and play radio more than be outside putting wires up. Now I've got, for my location, I think the perfect antennas for myself, and I'm really enjoying this hobby still. Catch you later. Take care. 73s from down under. ZL3XDJ 73s. We'll catch you later. Have fun. See ya.